if the goal of the Democratic Party is to steal the most valuable thing the world has ever produced? What if their plan is to steal America?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, just a little tiny tease from the latest by Dinesh D'Souza, Hillary's America, The Secret History of the Democratic Party. There he is. Dinesh is back with us. There's the video box on your screen. We got it all, Dinesh. We're covered. We got you, we got the box, we got everything. Talk about how successful, wildly successful, because everybody I know has seen this, everybody I know is talking about this, and it's so important that people get out there and get educated. I remember your last one. I saw it on the 4th of July a couple of 4ths ago with the one before this with my son. And he and I, both of us, learned so much. So it's so important for people to know the truth that the media and schools will not teach you or kids.
You know, this movie has had an explosive impact. It's particularly wonderful to see Democrats, independents, women, Latinos, blacks see it, because the initial effect on them is discombobulating, because they realize right away that if this movie is true, a lot of what they've been taught over a long period of time has obviously been false. And it's one or the other, and they need to actually find out which it is. So it's fascinating to see this process occur. The movie is about Hillary, but it's also about the sordid history of the Democratic Party. Comes out in DVD October 11th. So suddenly the movie is now available in Sam's Club, in Costco, and Target, downloadable on Amazon or iTunes. And so it's easy to share with people who might be harder to yank to the theater with you. So if you know independents, Democrats, friends, get them to see the movie when it comes out October 11th, basically 1 month before the election.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let me talk to you about racism and the playbook. As Donald Trump correctly said, you know, when Hillary started calling Donald Trump a racist, not with, you know, just in the face of her own racist statements that Robert Byrd was her mentor, her husband signed Confederate Flag Day into law, yet they talk ill of the Confederate flag, on and on and on, super predators. We go right through the list. But you know, Donald Trump has faced these accusations. They keep bringing up whenever the media runs out or Hillary runs out of any legitimate topic. They say, David Duke, what about David Duke? I mean, just out of nowhere. When Jesse Jackson is on tape from the late 90s honoring Donald Trump, saying what a great ambassador he is, how he cares about minorities, how much he's done for him, Jesse Jackson, and for the Rainbow Push Coalition, all these great compliments. And I got to tell you, Dinesh, I don't see Trump trumpeting that. I don't see his surrogates talking about that. I haven't seen any Trump commercials playing that. And I'm a little worried that unless he fights back with the facts, people might just learn to accept Hillary's accusations.
Think on the face of it how absurd these accusations are. Trump is a New York guy, grew up in Queens. He's been a builder in New York. What is his relationship with the white supremacy movement? Zero. What does he know about the Ku Klux Klan? Very little. Now contrast this with Bill and Hillary. They got their political teeth cut in Arkansas. Bill's mentor was this guy Orville Faubus, the longtime governor of Arkansas. That was the dude who stood in the door of the Arkansas schoolhouse to block little black kids from being able to go to public schools in Arkansas. When Eisenhower, the Republican president, sent in the National Guard, they shut down all the public schools in Arkansas for almost a year. So this is the history of the Democratic Party, and this is the history in which Bill and Hillary cut their teeth. They maintained good relations with Faubus, by the way, throughout their political careers. And while the Republican Party repudiated David Duke, the Democratic Party embraced Robert Byrd. So Trump actually has all the facts, not some of the facts, but all the facts on his side on this issue. And he has hammered Hillary on it, but I think there's so much more that he could do.
Right. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. Have you ever seen, and look, we saw the 08 election. of Barack Obama. We saw the media ignore and poo-poo Reverend Wright, ignore and poo-poo the affiliation and association with Obama, and as Sarah Palin said, palling around with terrorist William Ayers, and so much more. Who is this guy? He still hasn't released his school records, even though Donald Trump offered him $5 million to a charity to do so. So we've seen the media in action. But have you ever seen anything like this with their protection of Hillary and their gratuitous attacks to try to tear down Donald Trump?
I mean, this is to me deeply creepy. I mean, think of the scene where Hillary stumbles, collapses, almost falls into the seat of that car. Now, I believe that if CBS were the only one there, or NBC recording this, none of us would ever have seen it on TV. If the New York Times had been the only one observing it, it would not appear in the New York Times. And think of the implications of that. It means we live in a democracy, but these so-called journalists who go around with journalist badges, preening and passing themselves off as independent journalists, are not journalists at all. Their interest is not in the news. It's not providing the democratic function of press criticism, which is holding accountable those who are in power. It is a team that is in bed with one campaign. And trying to drag, as I put it, they're trying to drag this crooked hag across the finish line. That's their mission. It's not journalism at all.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. Let me ask you about going back to the immigration issue and the terror issue. Donald Trump Jr. retweeted, I guess, this tweet with a bowl of Skittles. And it said, if you had a bowl of Skittles and I just told you 3 of them would kill you, would you take a handful? That's our Syrian refugee problem. I think it's a brilliant analogy, and I think it drives it home. Of course, the media has, tore him apart. What do you think of that analogy?
I love it. I think that it actually, through a very simple analogy, it makes a profound point. Look at what's going on here with Hillary and Obama. Their whole challenge, as they see it, is to try to prevent casting opprobrium on Islam. Now, I have never maintained that Islam is the problem, or that the problem goes back to the Quran. But clearly, there's something about Islam today that has made it a toxic breeder of a certain kind of fanaticism and terrorism that you don't see in Hinduism or Buddhism or Christianity. And so a certain degree of political honesty is essential for leaders to communicate to the American people. And even that minimal level of honesty is missing from the Hillary campaign, missing from the mainstream media.
And you see that in the Skittles analogy, the honesty.
It dramatizes a point that I think everyone knows is obvious, but it makes it clear by way of a very simple analogy.
9/11 anniversary, 15 years, Dinesh, just took place a couple of weeks ago. And I want to ask you, since I didn't have a chance to ask you, could you, and I've asked this of various people involved with 9/11 who lost loved ones, Deborah Burlingame, I asked Bernard Kerik, can you have ever imagined 15 years ago that 15 years later, and along the way, because it didn't just start now, we would be bending over so backwards to make it so much easier for radical Islam to operate, for radical Islam to do its dirty deeds, for hate speech laws around the world that are coming here if Hillary is elected. You could be sure of that. Could you have ever imagined we'd be in this position, fighting the war on terror, closing Gitmo, setting these people free to go back to the battlefield, right on down the line, no enhanced interrogations? I just think we're doing everything backwards.
It might seem on the face of it that because there hasn't been a subsequent attack of the magnitude of 9/11, that we can let down our guard, that we can kind of go easy. We've seen these sporadic attacks, but we haven't seen another 9/11. But the truth of it is that radical Islam has metamorphosed. In a sense, Al-Qaeda was a collection of websites and a ragtag group of terrorists, many of whom could not even function out of their own countries. They had to relocate to the monkey bars in Afghanistan. With ISIS, however, you have an Islamic State that has roots in Iraq, it has roots in Syria, And so this is actually a government, so to speak. It has troops on the ground, and so it has matured. It's more dangerous in a way than Al-Qaeda.
Right.
And it's the negligence of Obama and Hillary that have created an environment in which this has proliferated and grown.
One more for you. Donald Trump has expressed regret that the bombing suspect will be taken to the best hospital, given the best lawyer, etc. He's an American citizen, albeit naturalized. Do you think he has a point?
I think he does have a point. Now, American citizens obviously are entitled to the protections of the Constitution. They have more rights, you may say, than an enemy combatant who is captured, for example, in Afghanistan or in Syria. On the other hand, there is such a thing as an American citizen who acts as an enemy combatant, who becomes an enemy combatant. And that's happened before in American history. And so I would say, yes, I think that we have to ask the question, how do we treat enemy combatants who happen to be American citizens?
Okay. Dinesh, great to talk to you, sir. Everybody, Hillary's America coming out on DVD October 11th, correct, Dinesh?
It is, October 11th.
Thank you, sir.
The accompanying book is out there,
yes.
out there now.
Thank you, sir. Great to talk to you as always. When we come back, the panel. Don't go away.